Hi, I'm Maxi Meissner. I'm PR and Communications Manager for NEU. That's me. A while ago. Okay. Next slide. I'm here to talk about NEU because a lot of you probably won't know it. NEU is an international arts festival taking place next week from Wednesday to Sunday. That's the 14th to the 18th of September in the beautiful spaces of the Gasfabriek. This year we bring together 60 different artists from 18 countries, most of them from Europe. There's one dance company from Taiwan that we're really chuffed to have. There's one more point. Oh yeah, we're a multidisciplinary festival. That means that when you come to NEU, you can see movie screenings, you can see theater performances, dance performances. We have a big exhibition going on. And I'm forgetting something, and that is concerts. Yeah, we have music performances as well. You might wonder why you haven't really heard of NEU. It's not because we're super new. This is actually our 8th edition this year, but we've been a nomadic festival. So we started in Vilnius, we've been to Nantes, Porto, Tallinn, Amsterdam in 2013, and in Glasgow. And last year we returned to Amsterdam where we found a permanent home, so we're going to stay here for a while. This is our 2nd edition, or no, actually our 3rd edition, but the 2nd edition now that we returned. Next slide. We have a mission, and all the participating artists at NEU now are either in their last year of their study or just finished their arts education. And it is our mission to help them bridge the gap between the academia and the actual world of living as an artist. How do you do that? We want to give them the tools to, actually live as an artist. We do that by organizing workshops with themes like pressing or intellectual property. Those are closed for public, sadly. But this year, for the first time, we have a speakers program, which will be taking place on Friday the 16th, if I'm not mistaken. And for that speakers program, we invited 4 arts professionals from the arts world, and one of them they're from different disciplines. One of them is from the animation, one is from the theater world, another one from the visual arts, and one from the music scene, let's say. Sorry. So yeah, speakers program Friday, free of charge. You just need to register on the website. We're super excited to do this for the first time because that is actually a program that we want to expand in the future. And last but not least, for our visitors, because we're not just there for the students, but also for the visitors visiting NEU, we want to give a broad overview of what is happening right now in the contemporary art world. What am I talking about now? I want to highlight a few things. Now, NEU doesn't really want to put forward one artist over the other, so those are my personal favorites or my personal highlights, and one of them is our film program that will be taking place on Thursday and Sunday. We show a 90-minute block of short films ranging from documentaries to animation and just short films, some quiet, some loud, so it's really exciting. Then we have a Saturday night program that's on Saturday night. It's called NEU Nacht. Keep repeating myself. That's NEU Nacht, and we keep the exhibition open to 1 a.m. We also screen a few of the short movies, and we have a concert by the avant-garde pop band Joe Goes Hunting, and Christopher, actually Dead Hype, is also going to DJ and support the band in a way. And then last but not least, because I'm a big fan of dance, on the opening night on Wednesday we have 2 dance performances, one by the Taiwanese dance company that you can see here. It looks very dramatic. It's a modern interpretation of traditional Taiwanese dance. And we also have a more, a modern dance performance by a Spanish dance company. which is about refugees. This slide, I'm going back. This slide I'm not really going to have time for because I want to introduce an artist, because I brought an artist, which I thought would be exciting, Yaron Cohen. He is taking part in the film program. His short movie, Until the Quiet Comes, will be screening, and I would like to introduce or invite you to the stage to talk about your films.
I just click on the...
Yeah, but on the other side.
Well, thank you for being here. My name is Yaron Cohen. I graduated last year at the Academy in Utrecht, the Art Academy, and I'm really pleased to be a part of NEU this year. Maxi already told that I made a documentary as a graduation project. I shot my documentary in Georgia, it's below Russia, and I will show some screenshots of my documentary, and I will tell you a short story about my process and how I made this documentary, because it was a really difficult situation and also difficult for me as a documentary maker to make my first movie abroad, because normally you only film in Holland or maybe in Germany, Belgium, but I took it a little bit further and it was really difficult for me. So first of all, my father was in the military when I was a little kid, and I was always fascinated by conflict zones, and especially conflict zones which are a little bit where time passed by, so a lot of things settling down, and there's this village near the border with Russia, and they had in the early 90s they had a really big war between Russia and Georgia, and I wanted to see what happened there and how the people still live in these conditions, especially because Russia now, as you all know, tries to invade some areas in the Ukraine and also in Georgia as well. So I wanted to see how people live between this border between Russia and Georgia. And first I went 2 weeks just on a sort of expedition to see how the people live there. And later I came again for 2 months together with my cameraman. This one. So I found 3 people: an old man on the right, and this young person on the left. Well, young. he's still old, but compared to this right person, he's really young. A woman, and the 3 of them live on the one roof in one house, and they live in poor conditions. I think they left Russia in the early 90s, and since then they still have really difficult time to maintain their life. And I'm not going to tell all the things that are happening in the movie, because I also think you should see it. But the film is about dependency on each other, because a lot of people, especially here in Holland and Europe, we all have our own personal space, and sometimes we forget that being dependent on each other is not the worst thing that can happen. And I saw these 3 people depending on each other because someone gets sick, or they have to find food and they don't have enough money to buy medication. And this is all in the movie, so it's also a really poor village. And eventually I made this film and I graduated at the Academy. And for me now, as a graduation student, I graduated already, but I graduated last year, so now I'm a filmmaker for 1 year, a professional filmmaker, if you can call it. And it's really cool that I'm invited to this festival, because I also think it helps a lot of students to see how the real world is happening, and also with the workshop they give. And I think it's good that there is a good promotion for artists that graduate and finish their school. Well, I should just show you some more clips. It's a really funny story, just to say more, because it's really it's funny because it's a little bit dramatic, but at the same time I think you will laugh a couple of times because it's a really crazy situations they get into. Well, I'm thinking if I can say more about it.
I don't know.
Do you have, maybe people have questions about my movie, or maybe about how, maybe about graduating in general, or I don't know. Yeah.
Did you live in the house with the 3 people?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we did because that's maybe funny to say, because I didn't speak the language, because I'm not Georgian, I'm not Russian, so for me it was really difficult to understand the language. So together with my cameraman, some days we stayed in the city, a couple hours from the village, but some days we chose to stay at that place, but they don't have running water, so it's really difficult for me to stay for a very long period, because I think it's really difficult to film if you don't have running water or electricity. So a lot of times we went back to the city, but I think it also helps to gain trust of the characters, because it's all, if you want to make a documentary, it's all about trust. You need to know people, and you have to give people the feeling that you are there just to make a documentary and not do any harm to them. Because in the beginning they thought that we were from the KGB. Because we brought a camera, and they thought, oh, maybe they're going to watch us or whatever. So it's really crazy, they thought that we're from the Russian intelligence service. So.
What's your best memory with them? Or the best moment you've shared?
I think the best moment is not on camera. The best moment is when we left after 2 months, staying in this village, and the old man, he was getting sick, and I think he passed away already now. And at the last few minutes, he had to cry because we left. And I also remember that in the first couple of days, he thought that we were from the KGB. And at the end of the whole period, he was just crying because he really felt that we were there just to be there for them and also to be a part of their life. So I think that's a really beautiful thing about making documentary, that you are really a part of someone's life, and that you just pick a little period out of their lives and just play it on the big screen. I think that's really, yeah.
Did they see it?
Ooh, difficult question. I have to be honest. I went back in January last year, so after a year I went back, and I didn't tell them that I came back. So it was really a surprise for them. And I entered the room, and I saw this old man you saw on the screen, and I think he was getting more sick than when we left. So at that moment I thought I'm not going to show them the movie, because it was like this moral discussion with myself. Should I show them my movie, because it's also confronting for them to see this movie. So, and my decision was that I'm not showing them the movie, because it's more important that I'm there than showing the movie, because it would be too comforting, I think. Mm-hmm. So, but normally I always have this rule that I always show the movie. Yeah.
Was it confronting for you or for them?
For them. No, I'm used to show a movie to the people I portray. So it's not confronting for me, but it's confronting from them, because I saw this old man was lying in his bed when I entered, and there were tubes coming out of the side of the bed. So I knew that he was getting really sick and he doesn't have long to live. And if I would show the movie, it would be a little bit egocentric of myself, because I would force them to see a movie that I made, which is maybe a little bit confronting for them. So it was more like this internal conflict, but not that I normally I would show it. So yeah.
You didn't have any electricity, right?
Sorry?
You didn't have any electricity. You said like no water,
No.
lights. So how did you work with your camera and your lights and your?
We didn't have lights. It's only natural lights. It's really because some people think if they see the movie that we did a lot of things with lights, but they have beautiful lights. it's natural lights.
Just lucky certain shots.
Yeah, there's natural lights and we had a lot of batteries. Yeah, just to switch. Yeah.
So if you didn't speak Russian,
Yeah.
Georgian, how did you meet these people, and how did you communicate? Did you have a translator?
Yeah, I had a translator in the beginning, but we together with my camera we chose to get rid of him. No, not. Now it sounds like KGB stuff. No, I mean in a normal way.
Okay. So how did you meet them then?
It's okay. Right? It's okay.
Okay.
How did you find out about this village?
Well, this village, I went, the first time I went to Georgia, I went together with the anthropologist, and he knew the whole area, and I was interested in the boundary between Russia and Georgia. And the anthropologist told me that I had to go to this village, because in this village, the only people living that migrate from this conflict in the early 90s from Russia to Georgia. So I knew this village was, there are so many stories in this village. And when we came there with a sack of apples and chocolates, because it's normal to bring something if you go in the mountain area, because they cannot leave, so you bring something with you, or potatoes or whatever. And so we went to this village, and a lot of people said to me, you have to talk to this old man because he knows a lot of stories, and he's really an interesting person. And eventually we had an interpreter, but it didn't work out, so eventually we went alone, and we translated all of the material afterwards. So we didn't know what they. Yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good story. Yeah. But we translated every night. So not when we came back. No. Every night when we came back, or maybe when we stayed a couple of days, afterwards we translated.
Okay.
So we knew a little bit where the story went, but not all of it.
So the title of your documentary could be Google Translate.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Yaron.
You're welcome.
There's two more things I want to say, because I want to invite you all to this Saturday night. I'll put out a list in front where you can write down your name and your address, your mailing address, and I'll send you a ticket for this Saturday. And the first 5 actually get the catalog, which is beautiful. So be quick, and of course follow us, like us. If you need more or want more information on NEU now, you can either talk to me after this or ignore the other speakers and go on your mobile and check NEU.eu.
Should have given you the last.
Any last questions?